Okay, welcome to the video where I am going to teach you how to solo melodically. And what melodically means is with single notes. So let me play a little bit of what I'm going to show you today, and then we'll jump into a little bit of theory, a little bit of talking, and then into some application. So if we were playing something like this. We're going to learn how to solo like this. So you see how I'm going over two chords here, and then I kind of went on my solo there. I'm going to teach you how to do that. So before we get started, just two things. I'm going to build this lesson off a lesson that I uploaded about 1.5 years ago onto YouTube. So I'll put that lesson there. Go watch that lesson, then come back here, and then you can really be able to understand what I'm doing. And then the second thing is, this video, along with the video I was just talking about that I uploaded 1.5 years ago, those two videos make up video number 1 of a series that I have for sale. So I'm basically giving you video 1 for free. If you like what you see here, I'll have on the screen the rest of the videos, so videos 2 and 3. There's lots more to be taught on the subject of soloing and improvising like me. That's what the package is called. So without further ado, let's jump into things. A little bit of theory here. So you should know from the other video that I uploaded that there is a cool pattern that you can use to solo with solid chords. And so what you do is you take the 1 chord, so if we're in the key of D, take the 1 chord of that key and then transform it to this, which is a sus2 chord. You can solo with a solid chord like this in the right hand while the left hand moves around in the key that you're in. So if you're in D, you see that? So this is kind of a great way to solo on the fly with solid chords. But, like I already mentioned, I'm going to teach you how to do stuff like this. Melodic soloing. So it's very powerful stuff that we're going to go through here, and it's just simple patterns. So what you need to understand is you need to understand your chord numbers, because that's how we're going to identify some of these patterns. And so in the key of D, if I asked you to find the 1 chord, you should know it's here. If I asked you to find the 2 chord, you should say, I'll find the 2nd note in the key of D, go here and then create my chord. So what you do is you go to the next note in the scale, which would be here, and then go to the next one right there. So skip 1 note in the scale, go to the next one. So that's the 2nd chord in the key of D. And if you continued moving, you would do this as your 3 chord and then this as your 4 chord. If this sounds completely foreign to you, you need to have the basics of piano down so you can get the most out of this lesson. So go to my website, enroll in the basics course. It's 6 free videos for you to watch to learn about the language of piano, because I need to be able to communicate with you guys, and if you don't know your chord numbers, then you can't get anything out of this lesson. So understand your chord numbers, because what we're going to be doing is now identifying not only the 1 chord from the other video I talked about, that transformed chord, but we're also going to be identifying the 4 chord to solo. So if you're playing a song in the key of D, you should be thinking to yourself, okay, I have my 1 chord, and then I can make it my sus2 chord or that transformed chord. And then I could do the same thing with the 4 chord, and I know the 4 chord is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have this. And then make that one a sus2 chord as well. So you have this here, and then you have this here. Now, the reason why you're going to have 2 chords to focus your soloing on is so that you can have tension and resolve. This is a common term used in music, and the basic principle behind it is that if you have a pleasant chord, something like this, and then you follow it up with some tension, which is usually a chord that doesn't quite sound right. Listen to this. That doesn't sound right. But then you followed it up with a beautiful chord with the release. Listen to that. It makes for beautiful music. So if you want to have beautiful solos, you have to have tension and resolve. So let me play through that passage so you can kind of hear how tension sounds. Here's the pretty chord. Tension. Here's tension and then resolve. So the way that you're going to create the tension is with the 4 chord. So now that you know that if you're in the key of D, you have your 1 chord, it's transformed to the sus2 chord, the suspended second. Then you find the 4 chord and do the same exact thing. So now you have 2 anchor points, 2 starting points. And so what you're going to do on the 4 chord is you are going to do something like this. You're going to take this simple pattern, these notes, and break it up. So there's a lot of ways that you can break up your chords. Your notes that you have. So if you're playing, let's say you're playing a G and then an A chord. So let's get a rhythm going here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 1, 2. So 2 counts on everything. Now watch what my right hand's gonna do. I'm just gonna break up those sus2 chords into single notes. There's different patterns. You can start on the bottom, work your way up. This is called phrasing on piano. Okay, there's lots of different ways to do it. The way you will create tension is from your bottom note, you will go a half step down. So a half step on the piano is a simple way to say just the next note down on the piano. So if you were here, a half step down would be here. Some people might be tempted to do this, but if you look and notice that this F sharp right here is much closer to the G than this F is. Literally look down on your piano. You'll see this F chord is further away to the G than the F sharp is. So you have to understand that this means next note down the piano. So understand that. So from here, the bottom note, we're going to take the next note down. So keep track of that F sharp. And same thing to the top. The top note's going to have the next step down. So you're adding these notes to your 4 chord. So your 4 chord, and then maybe here. So now we're just working on the 4 chord. When we get to the 1 chord, you're going to see how this all pulls together really nicely. So we have 2 counts, 1, 2, and switch, 2, and. See that? So this is your tension. This is your ugly chord. So what you'll do after you have created your tension, this works, by the way, in any key that you're playing in. Just take that 4 chord, top notes, top and bottom notes, half step down, add them to your single notes. So this is the tension. Once you have played a little bit of tension, created that nasty chord, then you can go to the pretty stuff, right? Tension is everything. That's how jazz music and gospel music is created. Lots of tension to the resolves. Beautiful stuff. Tension, resolve. Okay, so now that you've created your tension, what is your resolve going to be? You probably guessed it. It's going to be the 1 chord that we talked about. So what you'll do is you'll then go to the 1 chord and phrase on the 1 chord suspended second, right? The sus2 chord. So our D sus2. And from the first video that you watched, you know that this sus2 chord, this transformed 1 chord, you can do inversions of it. So you can go something like this. Right? So now if we put those 2 pieces together, let's go on the G again to the A chord. We're in the key of D, if you haven't figured that out. So we have a G chord to an A chord. And moving through, here we go. So tension, resolve. So tension, resolve. So some of these phrasings, you're just going to have to practice them. It's like putting together sentences on the piano. And with practice, your sentences will become a little bit more elaborate. So don't feel discouraged if you don't quite sound like me from the get-go. Literally, do random patterns. Tell yourself, on this tension here, I'm going to go from bottom to top, and then maybe hit the note from right here. That's underneath my thumb, a half step, so like that. And then after that, I'm just going to take my transformed one chord and go from top to bottom. So you kind of have some variation. So bottom to top here, hit that, and then top to bottom. And then do an inversion of it. So do 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 do. So do that all with timing. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Just try and make it fit like that. Practice that over and over. So something that I'm doing here just really quickly, and then we'll move on. My forefinger switches here. So the reason why I have this forefinger replacing on the E is so that I can reposition my hand to move down. Okay? So now that you have the idea down of the tension and the resolve, let me give you one more thing, and this is going to pull the solo together so nicely. What you then do is you do one last step, and that is finding the third interval of the chord that you are on. So if you haven't figured it out already, you have to be good with your scales and understand how to create chords, and that's why I have free lessons on my website for you guys. So go check that out, and then come back here, because if you can get this simple concept down, this is literally how you can solo in any song melodically. So the last step is find the third interval of the chord that you're on. So the two chords that we're playing here, we're playing a G major chord and an A chord. So if you look at my right hand has a G chord, and the middle note, which is the third interval I'm talking about, we need to identify that. So you should know if you're on a G chord, the third interval is a B. And for our next chord, the third interval is the C sharp. So we have this and this. So the third step is create tension, and then go to the third interval of whatever chord you are on. So let's say we were on the A chord, I would do this and end on the third interval. So you kind of have this movement here, and notice what I did. I did a grace note. So if you'd like, you don't have to do that, but you can just do that, right? It's tricky to get this movement down. If you struggle doing movements like that, check out some programs I have on my site with finger strength and accuracy. I touch on that. Just gives your music some feel. So you can do that grace note right there to the third interval. If I was on the G chord, I would do this. So this is the third step out of everything. I know I've been talking a lot, but let's put it all together. So step number 1, let's recap. You have tension. You take the 4 chord, make it a suspended 2 chord, and then you add your tension notes, which are just a half step away from your bottom and top notes, which would be here and here. So you have, and then you can phrase, right? We talked about phrasing, doing random patterns, and then you go to the 1 chord, break it up however you'd like, maybe do an inversion of this, and then go to the 3rd chord for step number 3. Then go to the third interval of whatever chord you're on for step number 3. So it'd sound like this. See how that works? So let's practice this in one more key. But before I move to the different key, let me play a song for you in the key of D. There's a song that I love by Michael Jackson. It's called Human Nature. Oh my gosh. There we go. And then the chorus. Okay, so this song here is in the key of D, so if I was playing through it, I could solo like this. Does that make sense? Okay, so if we were to practice this in another key, let's do it very quickly. Let's do it in the key of G. Then I got to think of a song in the key of G. I can do that. Blackbird by the Beatles. And then into a solo. So let's come up with a solo right here on the fly. So if you were playing that song and then wanted to go into some sort of improv, what you would do is step number 1, identify that one chord and transform it into the sus2 chord. That is from video number 1 of this series here. So go check that out if you haven't already. So key of G here, that would be the chord we're looking for, right? So we have this G sus2 chord. Now you got to find the 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know it's a C chord. And so you'll have this. So you have these 2 chords here and then here. Now remember, the 4 chord is used for tension, so the bottom and top notes are going to help us out here. So the bottom note goes down a half step, and then the top note will go down a half step to identify the other notes that will create tension for us from this 4 chord. So you have this and then these 2 notes. So you can phrase something like this, or you can do something different. So after you go to your tension chord, then you go to your resolved chord, which will be the 1 chord. That's going to be the beautiful chord. And then after that, you go to the 3rd interval of whatever chord you are on. So let me play through this again. For the sake of time, let me go from the middle of the song. Solo. So you see how that works? I literally was improvising there. I didn't practice this beforehand. So if you use this 3-step process, you will be able to solo in any song. You have to have a simple understanding of your chords, the key that you're in, and then keep track of the 1 and the 4 chord, transform them to sus2 chords, create some tension and resolve, and then you will be able to solo just how I solo. To close off the video, I am going to just put up a quick little snippet of me playing a song by Ed Sheeran that I uploaded actually yesterday, and I'll show you where I was using some of that tension and resolve and kind of some of that single note melody line soloing that I'm teaching you here. So I'll put the video up right now. Okay, so if you see on the video there, I was doing something like that, right? So okay, so what I did is I was in the key of A. No surprise that I went to a 4 chord of A, 1, 2, 3, 4, for my tension, and then I went to my 1 chord with the 3rd interval. Since I'm on a key of a chord of A, I went to that 3rd interval. So I went. So I use this stuff all the time, as I just showed you there in my cover. Remember, guys, this is the free video, part 1 of the Solo and Improvise Like Me package that I sell on my website. If you want the rest of the videos 2 and 3, go to the website, check it out. I'll have a link here as well. Also, if you're struggling putting your hands together on some of this soloing, it's a really hard thing to do because your brain's not used to controlling your hands, doing one thing and then your other hand doing another thing, trying to keep tempo, and you're trying to keep track of all these different things. So to strengthen your brain's ability is very important. I'll put another program on the screen here titled Rhythm Techniques for You. You can also just hover your mouse over the top right of the corner over here. You'll see a little eye. Click on that, and then you can get to my programs. 1 in every 4 of my viewers actually goes to check that out. They're excellent programs that I put together for you guys on improvising and basically learning how to play like I play. Make sure to subscribe for more awesome videos, guys, and I will catch you next time.